So a man and his wife were awakened at 3 a.m. by a loud pounding on the door. And the man gets up and goes to the door, and there's a drunken stranger there. And he says, "Can I get a push?" And the guy says, "No way, it's pouring rain out." And he slams the door in his face, goes back to bed. And his wife said, "Who was that?" And he said, "A man that came wanting a push." And she said, "Honey, don't you remember when a couple weeks ago those nice men gave us a push? I think you ought to go help them." So he sighs, puts on some clothes, puts on his shoes, goes outside and says, "Okay, I'll give you a push. Do you still need a push?" And he hears a guy say, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, where are you? I can't see in the dark." And the guy says, "I'm over here on the swing." Things are not always what we expect. But we can welcome the unexpected. We can welcome and invite them in. How many of you got a white stone white stone name last week? Was it what you expected? Mine wasn't what I expected. I always kind of have an idea, maybe a couple words. And then it's usually after the talk, after a couple, the next day or the day after, where I receive my word, where I hear, what is that name for me for this year? Never what I expect, never one of those ones that I'm kind of pulling out a hat. But if you weren't here last week, we had our white stone ceremony where we choose a new name for ourselves and we write it on a white stone. And that is our focus of how we're going to show up this year in all areas of our life. It's what is calling to come forth through us, as us, that the Spirit has given us. Only Spirit can tell us what that name is. Not anyone else can tell us. It's a great start to a new year. And at Columbine here, we also have a tradition of having a theme, an annual theme. And so today we're going to reveal what that theme is. And the theme gives us focus. It gives us something that we focus and try all of our offerings to be in alignment with that theme. It's driven by the staff. The staff comes up with it. And it's based on what we think, and we don't know, what we think as a community is being asked, is being, what we think the community needs or wants from this community. And so this year, we had a lot of fun with this with the staff in our staff meeting when we started talking about it. And what we thought was that what is needed is a sense of belonging. What is needed is community. What is needed is a place where we all feel safe. A place where your kids can be in a loving environment and where they learn about Spirit experientially, where they know that they are valued and where they are loved, where all of us here in the sanctuary know that too, where we know that we are valued, we are loved, we are in this together, where it's a place where we can share our gifts and make friends and become more of our potential, more of the person that we came here to be. Do we have it about right? We've lived through the pandemic. We've been isolated. We've been separate. And now many of us are seeking community. We're seeking a place where we can be with other people and be our true selves. Even when people don't look like us or think like us or believe like us, or, we have a lot of differences in this room. We have a lot of differences and a lot of different beliefs. But we can accept those and we can be together and allow ourselves to expand our worldview, expand our perceptions as we get to know people that have different beliefs than we do, different thoughts than we do, different upbringings than we do. Thank goodness we're not all the same. And we have this opportunity to move beyond our comfort zone. Hopefully your white stone name is something that's not too easy for you to be. You want it to grow you and stretch you and allow you to be more of who you are, more of that divine being that you really are. It requires you to grow in different ways, in different areas of your life. And that Spirit whispered a name to you that allows you to express more of that being. Do you feel that with your name? I know I do with mine. It helps us see how interconnected we are when we have it as a community, when we do this together as a community. So whether you're here in the sanctuary or online with us, we want to have connection. And it can be challenging to have connections at times, right? Scott Aubrey is a minister who designed this resource that I use every week called Spiritual Passages. Maybe some of you have heard of it. And he tried this exercise, and I'm going to ask you to do it. And so it's look around at the other people in the room. Just look around and spot the person here who you care for the least. Go ahead, but be subtle. Don't make eye contact. Keep smiling. And don't look at me like I'm the person. Don't stare at them. Just a quick glance. Okay, now you can stop looking around. Don't let anybody know they're your person. But look at how we are missing opportunities to show the complete expression of God. Because when we have somebody we care the least for, we're setting up boundaries. We're feeling separate from them. So we want to move beyond that. You never know when a person is going to break out with something that is just incredible and say something that touches your heart. That person that you care the least for could be the person who is going to show you Spirit in action more than anyone else. We don't know. And so we want to get rid of those boundaries, get rid of those separations. We each carry a spark of the divine. We're each an individualized expression of Spirit. And we are never as in sync with the divine as when we recognize it in someone else. When we recognize God in someone else, we are in a place of true knowing our own divinity. One person who recognized the divine in everyone and stood up against those who had boundaries and created separation was Martin Luther King Jr. And tomorrow we celebrate him, we honor him with Martin Luther King Day. He lived from a belief that we are all equal. And he stood up against racism. He embraced those people of our country there that were filled with separation and hate. He tried to bring people together. He said this, "I'm convinced that people hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other, and they don't know each other because they don't communicate with each other. And they don't communicate with each other because they are separated from each other." Can you feel the truth of that? We feel separate. And so we fear and we stay away and we don't talk to them. That person that you care for the least in here, have you had a conversation? We're different. We have different views, but we can still love each other. Like Beth said in her prayer, we all still can love each other. We may not like everything about another person. So this year's theme can help us with this, to stop feeling separate, to recognize the divine in ourselves and within each other. It's based on a movie. Our theme is based on a movie that came out in 1977. Now, some of you might not even have been born yet, but this is a classic movie. And I think you've probably, if you haven't seen it, you've probably all heard of it. Here's another clue. This comes from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19. When an alien resides with you in your land, you shall not oppress the alien. The alien who resides with you shall be to you as the citizen among you. You shall love the alien as yourself. Now, the word alien comes from Latin, meaning belonging to another. It also comes from an ancient Greek word meaning foreign or strange or unfamiliar. Metaphysically, it can mean a thought that is not in alignment with what you've known to be true. Doesn't mean it's not true, but it's a thought that you've held. Maybe it's something that's outside your comfort zone. When we embrace those things and those people that are outside our comfort zone, it helps us expand. It helps us see things in a new way, maybe a new perception. What Leviticus is saying is welcome the alien. Welcome those thoughts that aren't comfortable. They're there to teach you. They're there to help you grow. They're there to help you see things differently. Welcome those alien thoughts, those foreign thoughts. I'm going to ask Gay to come up in just a moment and give you another clue. Come on up. I'll tell you when. But of course, in modern times, we use the word alien as a creature from outer space. But here's another clue that Gay's going to play on the piano for us. Thank you. Anybody got the movie? Yeah, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Is there anybody here that's not heard of Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Okay, even if you were born past 1977, you've heard of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What's wrong with E.T.? Nothing's wrong with E.T., but we chose this one. Nothing's wrong with E.T. But with the staff, we had so much fun with this. It's like our theme this year is inviting close encounters. Inviting close encounters. So we had so much fun, and then Raven put together a graphic. Let's show the graphic. Okay. So that's me. I don't know if she's beaming me up or beaming me down, but that is not the graphic we're going to be using all year. But that was just for fun, but it's not about me. So I watched the movie this week, and what I found fascinating was how peaceful they are at the end. Does anybody remember the end of the movie? That's all I remembered. I don't think I've seen it since 1977. That's all I remembered of the movie, is that Richard Dreyfuss goes into the spaceship with the aliens, and they release some others that they had in the ship before, and everybody's just peaceful and smiling. Like, would that happen today? I don't know, but I loved the end of the movie. I thought it'd be really dated, but it was still good. But before you think I'm completely off my rocker for choosing a theme based on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, let's look at this spiritually. Close encounters of the first kind are when we see a flying object, an unidentified flying object, an UFO. That's what's considered a close encounter of the first kind. Look at this spiritually. We see something that's not familiar. We see something we haven't identified with before. Maybe it's a new perception. Maybe it's something that was just ordinary to us, and now we're seeing it as something extraordinary. We see something. We have an aha. We have a new insight. We have a birth of a new awareness of who we are as divine beings. We see something different. Close encounter of the first kind. Close encounters of the second kind are when things change as a result of that unidentified flying object. Something in the physical world changes. Things start to move and shift. Spiritually, when we have a new revelation, a new perception, a new way of seeing things, things in our mind, in our consciousness shift. And things then appear to shift in our physical world as well. Because we are seeing things differently. We behave differently. We act differently. We interact with people differently when we have a new awareness, a new revelation. Close encounters of the third kind are when we encounter other animated beings. That can be in community. Now that obviously, close encounters of the third kind from the movie is when they interacted with the aliens. They saw aliens, and they were these cute little people with no hair. But spiritually, when we interact with people in a different level, in a different way, maybe we interact with ourselves in a different way, or interact with the divine in a different way. In community, we're interacting with each other. We're accepting each other peacefully. We're accepting our differences. So inviting close encounters to us is inviting this in. Inviting, making welcome, having a new perception, allowing things to shift in our lives, and interacting with community or with ourselves or with God in a new way. So you see how inviting close encounters can be challenging. It can be difficult. But they help us grow when we invite them. When we make them welcome, we recognize our shared humanity. We recognize that we're here to rely on each other. Now, as I was doing more research, there's so many people have played off of this. There's close encounters of the fourth kind, the fifth kind, the sixth kind, all the way up to ninth kind I saw. But the point is that there's close encounters, these close encounter. An encounter is something that is more than just a meeting up with someone. It's unexpected. An encounter is usually an unexpected running into someone, running into something new. We didn't expect it. And so inviting that into your life, bringing all that you came here to be and inviting those close encounters in. Inviting seeing things differently. It requires us to have faith. It requires us to surrender and release. It requires us to look at life and release and let go and let spirit, let things unfold. Just unfold. I told the staff I felt kind of silly on Wednesday. I said, I feel kind of silly talking about close encounters of the third kind. And then we were all like, we want to have fun this year. Does anyone want to have fun this year? That's what it says on our coffee mugs. It's fun here. Let's get back to having fun. Close encounters, have fun with it. Close encounters of the human kind. Close encounters of the nasty kind. Close encounters of the whatever, divine kind, the self-love kind. Whatever it is for you. Invite those close encounters. Let yourself really connect with someone, with yourself on a new level, with God, with this community. Really allow that. Use your white stone name to step into it. My white stone name this year is reverence. And I feel like it's challenging. It will be challenging for me. To revere and have reverence for everything that I encounter. Have reverence for myself. Have reverence for my body. Have reverence for life. Have reverence for everyone here in this community, everyone online. Have reverence. Reverence. It's not going to be easy all the time. So we need to use all of our spiritual faculties to do this. We need faith to trust the process, to trust that everything is unfolding as it will, and that we have the resources to meet whatever is unfolding, to lean into it. We use our power of strength to be steadfast in that when things get a little rocky, to be strong. We use our power of discernment to know what is ours to do. What close encounters are ours? I'm not telling you to not have personal boundaries. That's not what this is about. You have to discern. Is this a close encounter that is safe for me, and will it help me grow? And at what level am I willing to encounter it, to engage with it? We need our power of imagination, as Steve sung about. Imagine, envision a world that is better, that is more loving, more peaceful. Inviting close encounters can help us do that. One person at a time. So think about your white stone name, and on every row there are some Post-it notes and there's a Sharpie. And what we're going to do is, if you have a white stone name, write it down on a Post-it note. Pass your Sharpie down to someone else in your row so they can. We're going to all, and then just hang on to it till after the service. We have a wall in the lobby that we want you to just put them all up there. See our oneness. We'll see our oneness. Look, all these are aspects of spirit. All these are attributes and values, and they're all part of who we are as a community. And if you're online, if you want to email one of the staff, we're happy to do it for you, to write it on a Post-it note for you and put it on the wall. We're going to be taking a picture of this. We'll leave it up till they start falling down, probably. It's our oneness that we all are in this together. St. Francis of Assisi said, "Remember that when you leave this earth, you can take with you nothing that you have received, only what you have given, a full heart, enriched by honest service, love, sacrifice, and courage." So I invite you this year to have the courage to invite close encounters, to live your potential, and help this community be a place where we all belong. Invite those close encounters. Namaste. Peace be with you.